We interrupt your Sunday programming now with an update on that deadly plane crash in Northeast Philadelphia near Cottman Avenue and Roosevelt Boulevard.
The crash killed all 6 people on the medical jet. 1 person on the ground was also killed. We're expecting to hear from Mayor Parker. Let's go in now as she's speaking.
As we promised that we would. Some of the information that you are going to hear is repetitive. You've heard it before, but we are being very intentional during this time about making sure that we reinforce the facts, because there is so much misinformation about the issue on social media, and we want to make sure that all of those impacted benefit from the same facts that we as the city of Philadelphia have. First and foremost, this remains an ongoing investigation. The situation is fluid and it is active. Our Philadelphia Police Department, our Fire Department, Office of Emergency Management, first responders, along with our local, state, and federal partners, are continuing to work literally around the clock at the crash site. The National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, they have been with us and have been on site since Friday. However, I want to note for the record that their full team is active here, and that includes NTSB Chair Jennifer Holmandy, and Ralph Hicks has been here with us on the ground. We want to say a huge thank you to each of them for their partnership and the work that they are doing. A deep gratitude as it relates to their participation. As of this morning, I do want to provide you with an update on the casualties and injuries that have suffered as a result of the crash. We noted yesterday and confirmed that there were 6 people on board the plane that crashed on Cottman Avenue. We mentioned the pediatric patient, their mother, and a 4-person flight crew. And yes, that did include a doctor and a paramedic. You have heard the details. It was a medical transport plane that took off from our Northeast Philadelphia airport, and it was only airborne for a very short period of time before something went terribly wrong and it crashed. The aircraft, a Learjet 55, was en route to Missouri, and that is according to data we received from our Federal Aviation Administration. I want to state for the record that our city continues to mourn their loss, and they are in our thoughts and prayers. We have also previously noted, and they continue to be here on site with us, providing as much support as possible during this time. We noted that all 6 of the individuals who perished on the plane were Mexican citizens, and that the Mexican consulate, they continue to be here with us. Consul General Carlos Obrador. Consul General, thank you again so very much. And for again, the way information is being distributed, some people have noted who they have affirmed the names of the individuals whose lives were lost on social media. But thanks to our partnership and working with the Consul General and the Mexican consulate, and out of respect for them, we will not be sharing that information until the Mexican consulate has deemed it appropriate. We can also confirm that there was at least 1 other person who perished, and that was the individual I referenced who was in the car, and there were additional victims who were injured, and they are being treated. We talked about it, nearby hospitals, but that number has now increased to 22. 5 of the victims remain hospitalized currently, and 3 of them are in critical condition. We have not, out of respect for their families and their loved ones, shared the names of any of those who have been impacted. Please continue to lift them, their families, and loved ones up in prayer, and our city stands with them and every victim of this tragedy. The investigators who are at the site, they are poring over every bit of material that has been available. They are going to provide very specific updates as soon as possible. Yesterday, many of you may have witnessed the presser that was hosted by the NTSB. We want you to follow them on Twitter or X or whatever you reference it as for subsequent updates. That is the method of communication that they use to make announcements. And again, we are working and collaborating with them as closely as possible. As it relates to utilities, PICO and PGW, along with SEPTA, I know Scott Sauer is here. Thank you, Scott. But Dominic Morales, our OEM director, he's going to give us an update on where we are with our utilities. As it relates to our schools, we have received a number of inquiries from parents about what will happen with our public schools tomorrow. Our school district has affirmed that there will be no school closures in the city of Philadelphia tomorrow. Students and staff will receive a note, and if there are any delays that are due to the incident, they will be excused. But there will be no school closures in the city of Philadelphia. And thus far, we have learned that no charter schools have been impacted by this issue. Local, state, and federal partners continue to work together. You heard me mention NTSB, the FAA, the Office of our Governor Josh Shapiro, Pennsylvania State Police, Pennsylvania Emergency Management, Department of Environmental Protection, our Police and Fire, OEM, our Managing Director's Office, the American Red Cross, School District of Philadelphia, and many other agencies and officials, all of our federal officials, Senators Fetterman, McCormick, all of our congressional delegation, Evans, Boyle, and Scanlon, all of our state legislators who are present. I think Dylan is around here, along with Doherty, the state rep, council member Driscoll, and state senator Picozzi, and Commissioner Dealey. Everyone is standing up together in this crisis. Further information about a meeting. Someone said, when are you going to gather in person Philadelphians who need to get real-time updates and have their questions answered by departments across the city of Philadelphia? We are working on organizing a town hall meeting for Wednesday on February the 5th at 7 p.m. Just block the time on your calendar if you can. Wednesday, February the 5th at 7 p.m. The location is to be determined. As it relates to shelter, where will you turn? Special thank you to the School District of Philadelphia. Samuel Fells High School continues to be our shelter location, 5500 Langdon Street in Northeast Philadelphia. It is being operated in partnership with OEM and the American Red Cross, Southeastern Pennsylvania, with the School District of Philadelphia. It's open 24/7. The Red Cross disaster workers are there to assist anyone who has been impacted as a result of this tragedy. We've already been using the shelter, and we encourage anyone who needs to avail themselves to this service to take advantage of it. The telephone number that we have been encouraging people to use is 1-800-RED-CROSS. Again, that's 1-800-RED-CROSS. That is the number that you should dial for help. However, if you need access to any support that is other than shelter for now, we want you to be able to call 911, and you're going to hear from our police commissioner, Kevin Bethel, shortly. Mental health. This part is really important. If you need assistance We have services available through the city's Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. You can call the hotline, and now you don't even have to worry about the entire number. Just dial the hotline number, which is 988. Or you can visit them online at www.dbhids.org. Hotline number 988, or visit them online at www.dbhids.org. You're going to hear from Crystal Yates-Gale from our Managing Director's office shortly on more specific information. Next question, still a lot of outreach regarding how can we help others who have been impacted by this tragedy. We want you to know that we are now working on ways so that your assistance can be provided in a structured and a protected manner that we know will get directly to the people who have been impacted. For now, we want to continue to ask people to not come to the site. We are working with 3 different entities now. Our hope is that by the time we have our town hall meeting on this coming Wednesday, we will have a formal structure that is, if not ready, close to being ready for you to be able to deposit supports for those who have been impacted. But for right now, we have to continue to ensure that the investigation and efforts that are currently underway at the crash site have to continue with no interruption. So we don't want anyone to drop off any food or anything else at that location. Road closures. Go online to Ready PHL to receive regular updates from our Office of Emergency Management. This includes information on road closures in the area and any other relevant information for the public. Finally, I want to say this. Please continue to be patient. Philadelphians have been checking on their neighbors. If there's someone in your family or on your block that you have not seen, please continue to check on them. We are now canvassing information. They're literally going door to door to provide information to residents who are directly in the immediate area who have been impacted. Thank you to our Office of Public Engagement for that support. I want to also remind you that we were criticized on Friday night for not putting more information out more quickly. I want you to know that we, the city of Philadelphia, and I as mayor, have been very intentional about being as conservative and careful as we possibly can about making sure that we give you facts that are accurate and have been confirmed through the cross-sector collaboration that has been occurring since this started. We want to be accurate and truthful with the people of Philadelphia and our country, and we are not going to be, working very hard just to get something up on social media. That is not our role. We want to keep those who have perished or who were injured in our prayers, and we will continue to update the press and the public regularly. We want to thank you all. God bless Philadelphia. After me, you are going to hear from Managing Director Adam Teal, our Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel, OEM Director Morales, MDO Crystal Yates-Gale, our Commerce Department Salim Wilson, State Rep Doherty, State Senator Picozzi, Mexican Consul General Carlos. Thank you, in that order. Thank you.
I want to reinforce that with Mayor Parker's leadership and her example of interagency, intergovernmental collaboration, we still have literally hundreds of people, hundreds of incredibly dedicated staff who are working at the incident scene, the large incident scene, all around that scene, here in our Emergency Operations Center, which has been activated since Friday night and activated for other events since well before that. These folks represent almost 30 different agencies and partner organizations, local, state, federal, not-for-profit. So this is a major operation. I can tell you these folks, the folks we have working at all those different levels of government, are hands down the best in the business. They have the experience, the expertise to do this work. We are, again, with the mayor's leadership, we are using all the resources that we have. We are getting all the resources that we need to move this incident forward as we go into the recovery phase now, what is going to be a long-term recovery, to move forward as quickly as possible. And we have to do this right. The outcome of the investigation matters. It matters to the people, to the families that are affected, who were affected by this. It matters for safety going forward for all of us. So we are being very deliberate in our actions, and we need patience. I can tell you these folks are working 24/7. We're very happy with the level of progress and the trajectory going forward. We are still days away from getting to that next point, and potentially weeks before we have the answers. We in the NTSB have the answers to some of the questions that you all might have. So please give a thought to all those people who are out there working, no matter the weather conditions, no matter what comes next, who are out there working to resolve all of this as quickly as possible, to take care of our residents and businesses that are in the affected area. And again, I just want to highlight and appreciate Mayor Parker's leadership for ensuring that we have everything we need to do this right and to do it as quickly as possible with, again, getting things done properly as our overriding and overabiding concern.
Before I begin, I do also want to echo the words of the managing director and just acknowledge the incredible leadership of our mayor. We are here because of that leadership. This is my first time the public, we arrived on location on Friday, but I do want to acknowledge Commissioner Thompson and his team. We had the responsibility to set up the perimeter, but his men and women were in action on the ground, and they did an absolutely incredible job. So I just want to take that opportunity to thank him and the fire department for the absolutely incredible. My men and women were working in some conditions, and his men and women were leading the charge. We were supporting that, and I just want to say thank you for that. I mean, we have set up a perimeter. Perimeter remains in effect. I'm appreciative of the state police and Colonel Paris enable us to help us deploy because, as you know, in addition to covering such a large scene, we still have to respond to 911 across the city. And so that support has been incredible. We will remain in that posture. However, we will be announcing that we anticipate to have the Roosevelt Boulevard, both the inner and outer lanes, open by rush hour tomorrow. That will be a significant shift as to what our posture has been since Friday. We have about 150 men and women on the ground. They have been on the ground since this incident occurred, on the blocks within there, assisting families moving through that process. We anticipate over the next couple of days there's cars in those spaces. As our investigation moves to its process, we will be able to start to allow those cars to be removed. So we'll provide an update on that. I'll end with just saying, in addition, I have been extremely proud to be serving in this partnership that you see behind us. Most importantly, proud of the men and women in my team who responded that day. They know who they are. Some of them saw some significant trauma. But from our investigative and our patrol assets, I totally appreciate their hard work and effort. So at this point, I will turn it over to our manager, Don, right? Don.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor, thank you very much for your leadership and the opportunity to brief today. The city's Office of Emergency Management, a city agency, is really served to support and coordinate to large-scale emergencies, disasters, and complex events. Fortunately, we are all familiar with one another. Unfortunately, sometimes that's due to tragedy. But the fortunate part is that there is a standard operating procedure that has been in effect for less than 48 hours since this no-notice event happened on a Friday night. Some of that standard operating procedure proceeds back the week before. We've been in Code Blue, caring for Philadelphians as a joint team. We celebrated the Eagles NFC championship together on that Sunday and are now preparing for the upcoming Super Bowl match and have done many other day-to-day things throughout that. And so we are very pleased today, less than 48 hours in this afternoon, to announce some progress. First and foremost, progress around the utilities. The utilities, PECO, has reported that all of their service has been returned to that community with the exception of immediately impacted buildings. As you all know, several buildings received significant impacts, whether due to fire or other damage. All but those immediately impacted buildings have been returned. PGW reports the same. All service has been returned to that community with the exception of those immediately impacted buildings. Throughout this event, the Philadelphia Water Department did not experience any reported service disruption, and that remains the same today. And from the city street standpoint, the plan is to assess the full extent of damage once the investigation piece clears. What we already anticipate is that this will require some repair. It will require repair to lights, traffic signals, and to the roadway itself. This interagency piece, there are a lot of priorities, and sometimes when there are several priorities, you have to sort out which is the priority. And that hasn't been the case here. They have all been the priority from any perspective. And our job at OEM and the team that does this every year, every day for the Office of Emergency Management, only with the support from our partners, has been working to sequence that work with folks that we knew well before Friday and folks that we just met Friday night, Saturday, and even today as they've come from across the country to support this event. As it relates to SEPTA, there are, as we all know, detours in place. We know folks have medical appointments, folks have business they wish to do in that area. SEPTA.org is where those detours are posted. People need to plan ahead. Plan ahead for Monday, plan ahead for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, at least, just to be safe right now. We hope to continue to come with more progress and more updates in this fashion, but plan ahead because this is a significant event and long-term recovery is a formal use because it is going to be long-term when we think about all the scope of things that we need to do to return to, dare I say normal, but a sense of normal now with the tragedy that's occurred. As far as ongoing updates, 2 resources I want to raise up. First, the phila.gov website. There's an ongoing blog updated in real time as things change, as information becomes available. We heard about an event scheduled for Wednesday. Those things will be posted on that running blog. To complement that, we've activated a text message service. You can text one word, Recover PHL. That's RECOVER PHL to the number 888-777. Residents, businesses, visitors. If we have a resource to push, an update to share from a 10,000-foot view, we will use that source to text message that out to folks. And of course, the social media accounts for the city, primarily the Philadelphia Office of Emergency Management X account. The last thing I'd like to say is our sincere condolences to everyone involved from every aspect. I think we've learned a lot of ways that this has touched folks directly and indirectly, and we will continue to try to learn that over a long period of time. And to that extent, I'd like to introduce Deputy Managing Director Crystal Yates-Gale for Health and Human Services.
Hello, everybody. My name is Crystal Yates-Gale. I'm the Deputy Managing Director of Health and Human Services. We know this incident is causing trauma for many people across our city. People are thinking, what if? What if I had been there? When there's a traumatic incident that impacts the community at large, we can expect the need for behavioral and mental health services to begin soon after, and to increase as time progresses. The fire department's AR3, it's an alternative response unit, which is a combined EMS and Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services resource, is available and has been present for the community's immediate need. The Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual and Disability Services, other partners to include Network of Neighbors and Friends Hospital, which are nearby resources that can provide additional help in the short, medium, and long term. People can call, as the mayor said, 988. That is Philadelphia's crisis line for help. Remember, 988. They will also connect you to resources if you need them. Some signs of trauma include heart racing or skipping beats, body aches, emotional swings, outbursts of anger or rage, fear, depression, anxiety, or the feeling of no energy. If you're experiencing any of these things, do not hesitate to call 988 for help. It is also important for me to note that the Health Center number 10, located at 2230 Cotman Avenue, will be open tomorrow. All appointments will be kept, but we ask for your patience with any delays. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Salim Wilson, Deputy Director of the Commerce Department, representing the Mayor's Business Action Team. Yesterday, our representatives were deployed at Ground Zero to assess the damages of the businesses operating, who were able to operate, and we provided information on available resources through the Department of Commerce and those who experienced business disruption and physical damages. We recognize that many businesses in the immediate area remain closed due to the ongoing investigation. As soon as they are permitted to reopen, we will take a proactive, hands-on approach to assure that every business affected receives the support that they need. We are mobilizing all available resources, including emergency relief programs and business navigators who will work closely with businesses and owners to address challenges, provide guidance, and facilitate problem resolution to aid in their recovery. We also work with our business development team to be on point and to connect with the larger chains in the area to make sure they also are receiving the support that they need. So if you or someone you know in business has been directly impacted, please have them reach out for assistance. They can reach the Department of Commerce at 215-683-2100 or business@phila.gov. Our representatives will be on point and ready to assist. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Doherty. I'm the state representative of the 172nd District of Northeast Philadelphia. My home, our home. First and foremost, our hearts and our prayers go out to all of those impacted by this tragedy in our neighborhood. I'd like to thank our Philadelphia Police Department, Fire Department, first responders, our PGW workers, our PICO workers. What happened is an absolute tragedy. But if there's two things that we are in Northeast Philadelphia, we're hard workers and we're fighters. And we will work and fight to rebuild, maintain, improve, and support our neighbors. We're Northeast Philadelphia strong. Thank you.
My name is Joe Picozzi. I represent Northeast Philadelphia in the State Senate. This weekend, people in Northeast Philadelphia were tested with the crisis. And in the national eye, we showed the entire country our strength, our resolve, our commitment to respecting the directives from law enforcement, and our willingness to come together as a community. It's the reason why we're known as the Great Northeast, because of our strength, of our communal bonds. I want to express my deepest condolences to the families affected by this tragedy. I want you to know that we'll be here with you every step of the way. I want to thank law enforcement for everything you've done and your tireless work throughout the weekend. And I want to thank Mayor Parker for your crisis leadership. We're all deeply, deeply grateful for you. So thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Carlos Obrador. I'm the head consul of Mexico in Philadelphia. And on behalf of the government of Mexico, we are very grateful for the timely response from the city officials and the state officials, first responders, and also very grateful for the great leadership of Mayor Parker and Governor Shapiro, as well as the city manager that we have been in contact very closely, as well as the director of Office of Emergency Management, the police and fire departments. Everyone is very much committed to solve this situation. And of course, we stand together with Philadelphia, with Pennsylvania, and we stand together with United States. Our condolences to all the persons and people that was affected. Thank you very much for your leadership, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We want to make sure that we take a few questions. Can I have my notes that are back there? Thank you, Krista. Questions? Yes.
Javier Vega with Telemundo Network. This is already a tragedy for the Hispanic community. I understand you don't want to share any names, but I just wanted to ask you if you can confirm if there are other Hispanics who are affected in terms of the wounded or the displaced, because as far as I understand, the neighborhood has a very big Latino population.
We will not be disclosing any demographics about anyone who was impacted at this time, but we will make sure that we forward that information to you as soon as it is appropriate. But thank you so very much for the question, Anna.
How many people were displaced? And at this time, do you have any missing persons?
Where's that? Mm-hmm.
We are still not sure exactly how many families were displaced. We know there are at least 11 properties that were significantly damaged. We still have our urban search and rescue experts, L&I. They're going through the neighborhood yet again and doing structural assessments, damage assessments. We do know at our shelter at Fells High School, we've had an average of 6 people there per night or less. So that's some indication of the need. We know that may not be the entire indication of the need. Please, again, if you are hearing this and you have been displaced, you can go to Fells High School, check in there, all those other resources that are available online, because we may not know everybody who's been affected. There may be folks who left and just haven't come back yet. They decided to go. It's still, I know it's hard to believe we are still very early in what will be a long-term incident. And to the point about the missing persons, what we've reported is what we know. And as the mayor said, we are being very thoughtful and intentional and deliberate about ensuring that we're only reporting what we know and not speculating about other things. And part of that, there is still a lot of work that is being done. You've heard us talk about our joint investigation team. Our forensics folks at PPD, again, best in the business, working alongside our fire marshals, federal partners who we always work with, federal partners from FBI, ATF, and others. They have a lot of processing yet to do of the scene. In fact, as you heard, we have not yet recovered everything we need to recover from the scene, all the different materials that we need to recover. So it is possible, all that to say, it is possible there are still people who were affected by this event, affected by that crash that we don't know about. So as we said yesterday and the day before, if there's somebody who you think might have been in this area and they're missing and they haven't checked in and you can't reach them or they live there, call 911. Don't be afraid to do that. And we have people who know how to handle, again, we handle these cases all the time. And that's part of the uncertainty that we're going to continue to have for days, potentially weeks, about who might have been in that area that we don't know about, who might have been affected by this tragedy.
And you said 11 properties, is that homes and businesses or just homes? You said 11 properties, is that 11 homes or homes and businesses?
Those are residential properties. There are multiple businesses that have been affected in various ways, so we're also assessing those as well. And I want to let the police commissioner talk about the missing persons process in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, just very briefly, we are tracking that specifically, all the reports coming in. But you also have to remind that when we do a missing person report, it's usually from your home of residence. Mm-hmm. And so there is some linking that needs to be done, but we are methodically going through any of that information to support us in this investigation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, Fox?
Yeah, quick question. I mean, just last week, the city was at an all-time high.
Right.
Yeah, the NFC Championship victory. Now you have a situation like this. What are some words that you have for a community, a city that is dealing with an influx of emotion?
It's really interesting. And during very difficult times, when my grandmother was alive, and even until today, it's in times of crisis when you should remember who you are. And we have to remember what defines Philadelphia. We are a strong people, a resilient people who clearly understand how and why it's so important that we take care of each other. Prayer for our city, you heard me say it yesterday. I am a praying mayor, but together, as a community, as a city, as a village, there is nothing that we can't overcome together. And that's why it's so important. I want to, because I've gotten a lot of calls and communications from people about misinformation being, disseminated on social media and us not being able to control what is being said about what is happening. That's why we're being so intentional about where we are right now. Just be patient with us. We're going to communicate to you what we know and when we know it. And again, when our cross-sector collaboration has affirmed it, we will share it with you. But Philadelphia, don't forget who you are and remember our one Philly philosophy. People would often say to me, well, and I was out and someone said, well, that's the mayor's, that's the mayor's slogan. One Philly, a united city is not a slogan. One Philly, a united city is a vision. It's a path forward. It's a strategy for how we can function as a city. And you've seen it at work here since this crisis unfolded. And we will get through this moment.
One last question. Eva?
For the town hall on Wednesday,
Yes.
obviously you were talking about an opportunity to have some of those formal channels to offer
Yes,
support,
yes.
which people will likely want to take advantage of.
Yes.
What other questions are you anticipating, or what other kind of resources, services are you hoping to provide to community members on that day?
Well, the great thing is that you heard Deputy Managing Director Crystal speak about the mental and behavioral health services and supports. That is extremely important. We also have to talk about the businesses who were impacted. For example, when we talk about securing the perimeter, when we talk about traffic to and fro on the boulevard and Cottman Avenue, when we talk about those businesses in the mall that are closed, it's not just those business owners, it's the employees who work there. It's direct impacts and indirect impacts. And so the Commerce Department, all of the state resources. I mean, right now, this is an emergency here. A tragedy here in the city of Philadelphia, and we have to quantify it to see if any additional resources are needed to help us at this moment. Our finance department and budget offices, they're now working on trying to calculate the fiscal impact this has had to Philadelphia's budget. I mean, when those businesses aren't doing business, taxes aren't collected. So how is this going to impact the budget moving forward? So we're all of those questions. Parents, making sure if anyone has witnessed it. I mean, there were some very dramatic visuals that before my child would see it on social media, I would have loved to have been able to explain to him that what you are about to witness, yes, it actually happened, but to give it some context. And some parents didn't have that luxury. Their children were just on social media and they're saying, hey, mom, hey, dad, look, did you see this? So all of those things. And then any residents who've had any challenges they should not have, since we've had door-to-door, block-to-block canvassing. But anyone who is in need of any kind of assistance from the local, state, or federal level, once we give them the date and the time for the town hall meeting, we want them to come with any questions that they may have. Thank you all so much for your time, and we'll be back in touch. Sawyer?
Sir, how difficult was this?
Thompson.
That's a Wayback Machine.
How difficult was this fire
Commish.
to cover? You had apparently jet fuel and multiple people and dwellings all over the place. Did you have the necessary personnel, and how difficult was it for your teams to get around to where they needed to go with the crowds and everything?
This was a challenging fire for the Philadelphia Fire Department. We are one of the best fire departments in the country. Great. But this incident isn't something that most fire departments see. So it took a lot of resources, some out-of-the-box thinking. We had to really wrap our arms around what was going on, and then we relied on our professionalism, and we relied on our partners throughout the city, our colleagues from the police department and others to get us through this. So yes, it was challenging, but we do have the resources to address almost any sort of incident that happens within a city. So thank you for that question.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Listen, I want to say a special thank you before they depart to State Senator Pecosi, to State Representative Doherty. Councilmember Driscoll could not be here, but I want you to know as we move forward and we're advocating for the interests long-term here in the city of Philadelphia, what you all have demonstrated during this time, it is something that our city will never forget, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you to each of you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
We learned from your leadership.
Thank you.
You've been watching the very latest update from city officials there about that medical jet crash in Northeast Philadelphia. Philadelphia Mayor Cherelle Parker first to step up to the podium with the very latest information. And we want to recap the newest information that was just released, namely the number of people injured in this tragedy there in Northeast Philadelphia. That number has now increased to 22, 5 still in the hospital and 3 in critical condition. Up until this point, we didn't know how serious some of those injuries were.
Exactly. And just one of the good pieces of news from this, it's still a tragedy. However, the death toll has not risen. That death toll is still at 7. 6 people, they were on that medical jet. 1 person was on the ground. However, they also pointed out that there are some people who could still be missing who they don't know because of how missing persons reports, how they are filed. Usually it's from someone's home. However, if someone was down there on the roadway, they may not have put those 2 pieces together just yet. That's
still being worked out. Clearly, the NTSB's investigation is only just beginning now. They have a team of investigators there at the scene going through that debris field that, as you can see, is still very extensive today. It's interesting because the managing director there, Adam Teal, talked about how it now transitions into this long-term recovery phase. He talked about more than 30 agencies coming together, hundreds of people now working around the clock, not only as far as the investigation goes, but also the personal impact to this community.
Right, and also because you have folks who live right there. We keep talking about Roosevelt Mall being right there. There's also a very densely packed neighborhood that is right there, is Oxford Circle, that is right there in that neighborhood. Now, because of it is a neighborhood, they did stress that there will be no schools closed tomorrow. We do know that Fells High School, it is a place there that is being, has opened as a shelter. It will be open tomorrow. We also know that there will be a town hall meeting that is scheduled for 7 o'clock Wednesday night. They are trying to figure out an exact location for that. Folks will be able to come there, ask questions, whether you are a business owner, if you are dealing with some mental health issues while you were there, or if you're having any issues with your home, access to your home, stuff like that.
This is going to be a long-term recovery. He talked about weeks. And when we talk about that, we also talk about people trying to get back to some sort of normalcy. I mean, after all, businesses are reopening for the week. You got to get to work. So they made sure to point out that SEPTA detours are in place likely through at least Thursday, maybe beyond. So you'll want to plan ahead for that. They also talked about road closures clearly in that area while debris and the investigation is still ongoing. However, Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel did have a bit of positive news, at least moving in the right direction as far as rush hour goes.
Right. He did say that the roadway, Roosevelt Boulevard, will be reopening by rush hour tomorrow. However, he did not indicate if that would be in the morning rush hour or the evening rush hour. Or Eva Anderson was there. She did ask her to ask a question. He said that it will be rush hour tomorrow morning. So Roosevelt Boulevard will be opening tomorrow morning for folks who need to get to work, to school. Some SEPTA detours will still be in place, however.
One of the things I also thought was really interesting, because they didn't detail this yesterday, was more information about the firefight, because we did know that there were 5 houses that were actively on fire that the fire department had to put out. We now know that at least 11 properties were damaged in the fire that resulted from the jet crash, and it's still unknown just how many people are displaced as a result of the fire and the jet crash.
And also, they did talk about how this community came together. We heard from folks throughout the last 2 days talk about how this community came together. You know, our motto here, it is the city of brotherly love. They said that people did come together to help their neighbors out who, as they also said, most neighborhoods, most cities don't have to deal with something like this.
Yeah, Cherelle Parker took it back to her grandmother, as you well know, was a big part of her life raising her. She said, during times of crisis, remember who you are. And I do think Philadelphia and that Northeast Philadelphia community really showed that the minute that jet went down. We have heard it time and time again, witnesses on the ground who said they started running to help their neighbors. Neighbors helping neighbors, first responders springing into action to try to get people there impacted on the ground the help they needed as fast as they could.
And again, moving forward, just so you guys do know, Roosevelt Boulevard, we can confirm, will be reopening tomorrow morning by rush hour tomorrow morning. A town hall is scheduled for Wednesday at 7 o'clock. The location is still to be decided. However, if you have any questions, you would be able to go to that town hall to ask them from city officials.
And if you do need shelter, of course, again, as you mentioned, Howard, Samuel Phelps High School operating as the shelter. And the number, if you need help, 1-800-RED Cross. They've had just about a half a dozen people there every night, but there may be other people who need help that just don't know how to get it. So that is the number you should call.
Absolutely. Some 30 agencies working together to make sure that we can all get through this safely, number one, but also come together as a community to help our neighbors get through this.
Of course, we're going to continue to follow this story. As we now know, 22 people were injured on the ground. 5 are still in the hospital. 3 are in critical condition.
And stay with us when we are not on air. You can also find the latest information on our website, cbsphiladelphia.com. We will now return you to your regular programming.